This episode of the Military Matters Review is brought to you by Stars and Stripes. Go to stripes.com, enter promo code podcast, get 50% off your digital subscription. 50% off your subscription. Stripes.com, enter promo code podcast. Folks, the opinions expressed on the Military Matters Review are solely those of myself, Rod Rodriguez, and Desmond Ferris.
That's me.
They do not reflect or represent those of Stars and Stripes. So don't get us fired, okay?
I need this job.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Military Matters Review. I'm Rod Rodriguez.
And I'm Desmond Ferris.
All right. So this is the first real episode that we're doing that's outside of the coronavirus sphere of news and commentary. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably sick and tired of perhaps hearing about this, but I don't want this to be misinterpreted. So I just want to make sure that we're putting this out there, that this episode, although it is not about the coronavirus, doesn't mean that we're downplaying or that we don't care about what's happening to the millions of Americans at home, our service members and their families that are being affected by this virus. What we're trying to do with this episode is, for one, we think that our guests from the Military Influencers episode, which is the episode that actually came out right before the coronavirus thing, our guests were wonderful. And the topic of military influencers is still very relevant, and that the world of military influencers is going to come right back as soon as this coronavirus thing is over. So we want to go back and retouch that topic because we still think it's relevant. But for all of the people that are at home dealing with the crisis, our hearts and our prayers and our best wishes are for everyone. I know I'm at home right now. Des and I are recording in two different locations right now. So he's at home, I'm at home, and the show must go on, right?
Yep, show must go on. And the fact that we're still able to bring the information to our listeners, just goes to show what we're capable of doing here at Stripes, for the Military Matters podcast. And we appreciate you guys still supporting us and still listening through all of everything that's going on.
So today, for the Military Matters Review, for the influencer episode that came out back in the first part of March, John Burk, you might have heard his name, America's drill sergeant for a hot bit. When he first hit the scene of the social media sphere, I remember watching his videos. At first, I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. It's pretty funny. He's doing a lot of drill sergeant stuff. And then John kind of drifted into more political realm. And I'll be honest with you, and when we did this interview with John, I was very vocal about the fact that I didn't agree with a lot of his politics at the time. He understands, and he's of the mindset that not everybody's going to agree with him. But this also took a heavy toll on John.
My name is John Burk. I served in the United States Army Infantry for 13 years. And right now I currently do social media marketing for various companies. I own a business called Tavern Tankards that I work from my garage and make amazing old school styled wooden tankards. I also co-own another business called Shell Shock CBD. It's a veteran themed brand of CBD on the market, high quality. You can check us out at shellshockcbd.com and taverntankards.com.
John Burk is one of the early influencers to hit the social media sphere. And as you're going to hear, there's an evolution, a process that happens with him, doing videos from his car, doing his videos outside. Then it turned into skits. One of the funnier skits, I think, is the one where he does the Bob Ross painting, one where he's got this ridiculous wig on. So we wanted to know more about John, what his thoughts were on the world of veteran influencers. And I think his insight is pretty interesting because he's coming at it from a couple of different angles.
I don't even know if he considered a career. It's just it's a platform. It's really hard to describe what it is these days. I think with the emergence of social media, nobody really knew exactly what it was or what it could be used for. So it's hard to define it, really. It's just controlled chaos, if you will.
And this controlled chaos, John didn't even consider a career. That just goes to show maybe a lot of these people that are falling into what they call being influencers wasn't per se what they were trying to do initially, like most think. So when John did it, he was doing what he loved and kind of fell into it. So would we characterize this as the luck of the draw?
He definitely didn't go into this thinking, well, I'm going to be John Burk, the drill sergeant, America's drill sergeant. It sounded like it came into this thinking, he's going to make something interesting, something fun, but he just didn't understand what was going to happen with the social media draw, with the social media launch. And this is the thing. A lot of people go into this world of media thinking I'm going to be something interesting, and then they become something way bigger, out of control even. And other folks go into trying to be big, and they just can't get out of that sphere that they kind of built for themselves.
I mean, for my platform, it's hit or miss, man. I'll get people that'll recognize me, like, oh, hey, you're John Burk, and I don't know if they're going to follow up with like a left cross or they want to shake my hand because of my political beliefs. So I have to be very leery sometimes. And thank God for the Second Amendment, because half the time I'm usually carrying out there, because you never know when you're going to get some crazed person that just doesn't like your political opinions and just wants to put a bullet in you, you know? So for me, it was really different. It was like, it became very encompassing and very almost surreal to an extent. And then I started reading a lot of comments. You know, rule one of the internet is don't read comments. Well, I didn't know. This is Cherry Burk. I was a SGL at the Fort Stewart Non-Commissioned Officers Academy. I just came off the trail from being a drill sergeant. And so I had that drill sergeant mentality. You know, you're just very gung-ho, you're very motivated. And I started seeing people in the comments responding. I was like, well, you know, I would be motivated, but I would lose weight, but I would eat healthy, but. And so then I made a video, and people call it the fat shaming video, that went international, millions upon millions of views. And then before I knew it, my following was in the hundreds of thousands. And I started doing motivational videos that eventually led to this natural pull into politics. It's been a journey of self-discovery for me. I'm not the John Burk I was back in 2015, 2016. I left the military in 2016. I had opportunities after 13 years and like 4.5 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was tired. And I've represented a few companies. I've helped companies on the back end. I try and help veterans that own companies on social media by giving them free shout outs via Instagram. I'll go in there and I'll look at their social media. It's like, look, this is the things that I see wrong with this. This is what you need to improve on. I was like the original archetype of the bro vet.
You know, we can't ignore something that he said at the very beginning of this. And I think it's very interesting because he mentions having to carry because people disagree with him. He's had to live a very public life. And in that public life came a lot of threats. People disagreed with his political beliefs, with his ideology, or even his jokes. I mean, just making a fat shaming joke, somebody gets serious and sends you a death threat. You know, John has a family. He is so much like a lot of the other influencers I know, where the public persona is very different from the very private persona. And John is a very family-oriented kind of person. He's not going to just walk around and not defend his family or himself.
In that sense, isn't this where it kind of separates influencers from celebrities? Because, you know, celebrities have that distance between them and their fans versus influencers they're engaging almost every day with their fans, whether it's positive or negative. Most of the times you could probably run into an influencer anywhere you go versus a celebrity. There's only a certain amount of hubs you're going to run into them at, you know, LA, Hollywood, you know, New York.
I get what you're saying. And I would agree that military influencers, for the most part, are still very integrated with the regular society. They're not celebrities. They don't live necessarily in a sphere of comfort, or they're not insulated as much as a Hollywood celebrity. These are very much normal people who are making fun content, interesting content, or controversial content. The other part to this that I thought was fascinating is, you know, he's not just a military influencer in the sense that he just goes out there and makes videos or advertises a product. He's very much an entrepreneur. He's out there trying to make his own path. He's got his own company. He makes his own products. He's out there trying to advocate for veterans still with his Alpha Nerds Guild. So he was the original archetype of the bro vet. If you look at his older videos, it was very bro vetty. But he also goes through a process that you're going to learn a little bit later that bro vet thing had an expiration date. And
being a veteran probably makes it a little bit worse.
It was leaving the military and letting go of the anger over these last few years and pursuing a civilian life and acclimating to becoming a civilian and letting the warrior mentality in the sense of anger, rage go and be replaced by a seeking of peace, dealing with your inner demons that I collected a bunch of them from multiple deployments, and just learning how to live life, but live it and be happy and let go of the anger that the military tends to cause in a lot of us. I'm 35, so we came from a different generation than a lot of these younger military. And man, it makes me feel old. And I see this younger generation and the TikTok videos is like, good Lord, what are these kids doing? It's so cringe. It's funny, it's funny. But I think it's probably in the best interests of the military to ban the TikTok videos, because at the same token, though, it's a great advertisement tool, or a recruiting tool, excuse me. It connects to the next generation. The one thing that saved my hide when I did that first video was I was in a PT uniform, and it was the Academy's PT shirt. Now, that went up. I had word all the way from the Pentagon that people up there were telling me to shut up. Do your videos, but don't do them in uniform, and don't say this represents the United States Army, because they don't have the authority to do that. Because, everybody goes in with the, we have a right to free speech. It's like, not in the military, you don't. You forfeit that right. That's why it's called sacrifice. So if they don't want to adhere to something, to a regulation like that, well, then don't join the military.
John brings up TikTok, and I agree that TikTok is definitely cringe.
Wait, I have to disagree, because I just got on TikTok and started watching these videos, and they are hilarious what these kids are doing.
I'm not saying they're not funny. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my particular thing. I think a lot of the videos can be entertaining. There's some funny stuff out there, but I think that there is a good chunk of content that is being created by service members, and you can see they're young kids. They're doing their thing. They're having fun with it. Some of it is cringy, because I'm also 39 years old. But I think John makes a very good point in that when you're doing your videos, when you're making content and you're in uniform, you're putting yourself in a very precarious situation where the Pentagon might have to call you and tell you, hey, we don't mind you making your content, but don't do it in uniform.
There's regs and standards for a reason. Now, I'm not saying you should lose yourself because you joined the military, but like he said, you did join. And just like, servicemen and women next to you that have also served, there's a certain level of respect that comes with just being in the military alone. So when it comes to these rules and regulations, it's like teaching your kids, to clean up after themselves, wash their hands. There's basics that have to be met in order to be a successful service member, or, be successful in what you're doing. So when you can't necessarily maintain those basics, it's an issue. So I'm for being able to express yourself, but at the same time, you still have to maintain, military bearing. Part
of what made John very popular in social media was he took some very hard, aggressive stances on some controversial topics, to include veteran suicides.
Well, how are you going to move forward if you're always looking over your shoulder? You literally can't. And that's what I encourage a lot of veterans to do. It's like, look, man, I was there. I'm not trying to sit there and act like I'm better than you. It's like, this is what I experienced, and this is why I'm a lot happier now. And I want to see other people do the same thing. So it's like, look, knock it off with the ruck marches for suicide awareness, because in truth, nobody cares. It's not a civilian's job to care that veterans are committing suicide. Do you care that civilians are committing suicide? No, you don't. You don't care unless it directly impacts you or affects you. You can say you care, but there's only a certain level of care that you can exhibit. I mean, there's two types of care, passive and aggressive, or passive and actionable. And when I came out with a lot of these controversial statements and talking about veteran suicide awareness, it's like, look, we need to stop this. Bringing awareness to an issue doesn't do anything. We need to be proactive. And that's when I started the Alpha Nerds Guild. And it's like, look, this is my way of being proactive and creating a sense of community outside the community that we were a part of in the military. And it's been very rewarding. It's been great. And unfortunately, a lot of people are still in the mindset of, we need to spread more PTSD or suicide awareness. It's like, no, we don't. Because truth be told, people don't care. And if you're relying on people that don't care to help end suicide, you set yourself up for failure. What we should be doing is proactive within the veteran community and figuring out ways to help each other. The government, the VA, they're not the greatest. And these are ways that we as a community can come together and help that. And that's why I love that we have a very oversaturated market of veteran organizations for veterans of PTSD. And it's great to have that, an overabundance to where, I mean, you can't even throw a rock without hitting a veteran suicide type of nonprofit that's there to help. And it's wonderful to see that.
I get what he's saying about the veteran suicides, and no one cares if it doesn't directly affect you, and that awareness isn't the same as action. But I will caution that mentality, that viewpoint does have merit, but At the same time, we also have to address that the general public doesn't necessarily understand the plight of the veteran, and it's the public that votes for the people that make the decisions that affect veterans and the veterans' affairs and their veterans' health. So by that standard, I've actually talked to a lot of civilians who didn't realize that veterans don't get medical care. If you're not a disabled veteran, you don't get medical care. And even if you are, you're only going to get medical care to a certain extent, and it's usually only towards what it is that you've been deemed disabled for. So a lot of civilians are still under this mindset that once you serve your country, the country takes care of you, or that even if you've been severely wounded, there's a process that it's really easy, or that you're taken care of. Ask anybody who's on 100% disability, or somebody that has, a caretaker, ask them how easy it is to get the care that you need.
But I completely understand what John is talking about when he's like, we have enough of these Sarah McLachlan, Lips of an Angel, or whatever type of charities that are trying to do things. Let's start bringing acknowledgement to other portions of what's going on with our veterans. When it's oversaturated, it just becomes another charity versus another issue.
True. But at the same time, you can't get money unless you're bringing awareness. And the only way to make awareness is to make some of those cheesy videos, because let's be honest, civilians react to that. There's a reason Sarah McLachlan continues to raise money for those dogs and cats. It's because people react to it. If people didn't give money to those videos, they wouldn't be popular. They wouldn't even be part of our vernacular. It wouldn't be part of what we're talking about. So I see what he's saying. I think John is really vocal, and I think John is very passionate about action. He's a drill sergeant. I mean, he's a former action person. Let's just do something about it. I get both sides of it. I really do.
And I truly agree that, when we're talking about it, when we're creating communication between people about situations, it helps. And on the other hand, what he's talking about is there's an oversaturation. So let's not only talk about that, but let's talk about other things as well. And I think that's really what he's trying to get across is, okay, it's cool. We talk about this, we do things about it, but let's talk about more things as well. And when he talked about starting his guild and doing all those type of things, that's in a sense what he did. And I think he's really just trying to encourage others to do similar.
What we're about to jump into here in the next segment, where John is really focused on action, but he also has this contempt for the media that often capitalizes. It takes advantage of the veteran image, of our patriotism, to make money off of us. So it's the same way a lot of charities are making money off of the plight of the veteran and our problems such as suicide, and they're going to make tons of money. Now that company makes money, but not much gets funneled into suicide prevention. A lot of celebrities kind of ride on this veteran patriotic train, and they're just making money.
All we are is a number to them, a dollar sign. It's just, let's hype people up, let's get them angry, and then let's push them something that they'll buy. And veterans are the worst people out there that will form these blinded cults to buy something en masse just because they want to stick a middle finger. It's like, hey, wear this Betsy Ross flag shirt and give Colin Kaepernick the middle finger. Colin Kaepernick doesn't know who you are, and he doesn't care who you are. You could die tomorrow and he won't give two shits about you. But all you've done is you've made a veteran company richer that basically capitalized on your anger and got you to reach for your wallet. You think they care what you think? No, they don't. They just want your money, man. And there's nothing wrong with it. For me to do an actual shout out, which I don't do on Instagram, I will not do it because it basically spams your page with ads. I don't agree with that. But I told people at one point, if you want me to shout out your business, I have to get the product. You got to send it to me. And this is for civilians. This wasn't veterans. Like, you got to send me the product. I got to try it. I got to make sure it lives up to your name. And you're going to pay me $500 for a 24-hour post. The money that a lot of these influencers make is insane. $2,000 for a 24-hour post, depending upon your following, because you get more exposure. Social media is the new billboards on the social media highway. And for veterans, I'd simply say this: you send me the product. If I try it and it lives up to your name, I will shout you out for free and tag your business.
And it's great he's doing this for veterans, and he's like, yo, I need to see it. If you're a veteran, I got your back. And if it's good, I'll represent it. But there is the other side of that.
Yes. I think it's important that military influencers understand their value, what it is that they're doing, and that they can't water down their product and they can't water down their brand by just advertising a bunch of junk. You know, he's telling these folks, hey, send me your stuff. I'm going to make sure that it lives up to what you're saying it lives up to.
But then there's the people that try to take advantage of it.
I get messages from suicidal veterans that are supposedly suicidal veterans in my inbox or in my comments, and they will utilize veteran suicide. Like, if you don't respond to my DM, I'll kill myself. And so when I look at these other companies that are raking in all this money, there's millions of dollars, like how many veterans could you potentially have helped? But instead you wanted to wrap your truck. You wanted to get this suite at this ball game for you and your crew. Since like you wasted money. And I know I'm not the only one that sees this. I don't agree with it. I'm grateful to God that I can actually stand here and be who it is that I am. I'm for smoking weed. Smoke all the weed you want. You want to go out there and fuck a million different people? Fuck a million different people. I don't care. It's your freedom to do so. It's your choice. It's your life. I don't agree with a lot of it, but I support your right to do it. I stand where I stand. I've taken a lot of beatings for it. I've been demonized and vilified by the veteran community and civilian community on times. When I went against Grunt Style, I went against Nine Line. They didn't like it. At the same time, dude, it's the three Fs. Unless you feed, fuck, or finance me, I don't give two shits about you and your opinions. So
that's hardcore.
I mean, he definitely didn't hold back how he thought or his feelings.
No, he did not. You know what? I think John put it in a way that makes a lot of sense. I'm not going to use John's words as eloquently as he did, but
the three Fs, he said.
The three Fs. I love that. The three Fs. But he's right. I mean, if you're not actively a part of my life, you're not contributing to my life, you're not paying a bill, what right do you have to censor me or tell me what to do or how to think or what to say? You don't, you just don't. And I couldn't agree with him more. Like him, love him, or hate him, he is who he is.
And if you need help, reach out. You can find me in the Alpha Nerds Guild on Facebook. I'm on Instagram at JohnBurk1, JohnBurk1. I'm on Twitch. There, I've got my gaming page at The John Burk. There, I game Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. CST every night. On YouTube, it's just John Burk.
A lot of the times, we may not agree on everything we talk about, but I do agree with you on that. We are individuals. A lot of people talk about First Amendment, freedom of speech, and all that. Some believe it, some don't. But the fact that he's able to speak his mind, actually speak what he believes, and do it in a way that he can support his family, I'm all for it.
Folks, just make sure you go check out John Burk. He's a very interesting person. You might like him. You might love him. You might find that you're just kind of, I don't know, you might not care. And that's okay too. Military influencers are becoming an increasingly important part of the veteran sphere, and they're becoming an increasingly visible part of the civilian sphere. So if you're a military influencer or if you're interested in becoming a military influencer, go check out our last episode on military influencers. We talk with Matt Best. We talk with Sergeant First Class Aston Muse. We talk with Jennifer Marshall. And it's just a really good in-depth view of what it's like to be a military influencer and some of the things you might want to look out for if that's the route you want to go. Don't forget to go check out starsandstripes.com. Stars and Stripes, use promo code podcast. You're going to get 50% off your digital subscription. And we are all over social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are on Instagram. No, are we on Instagram? I don't think we're on Instagram yet, but we should be on Instagram. And make sure you subscribe to Desmond on TikTok. He's going to start doing TikTok videos for you.
Oh, yeah.
You know it's coming. All those links are in the show notes.
And just so you guys know, we're still following up on everything that's going on with our current issues on the coronavirus. And if you need to find information, make sure you go to stripes.com so you can get the up-to-date information on COVID-19 and the coronavirus.
And folks, don't be fooled by the nonsense that you're hearing on social media. Make sure that you're getting your information from the CDC, the World Health Organization, or from a reliable source like, Johns Hopkins. Let's double check your facts before we start putting stuff out there, because misinformation is going to get people killed. I'm Rod Rodriguez.
And I'm Desmond Ferris. And this was your Military Matters Review.